Hello. Hopefully the space ambiance is not too loud for this. I can't just talk in silence. I mean, I can, but I didn't feel like it today. Here, I'll turn it down just a little bit in case. Um, I wanted to continue off a little bit on the last topic I was conversating with myself about weight and the burden of other people's perception changing on you as you are also trying to change your perception of yourself and the universe. Everything is always happening simultaneously, so it's hard to justify other people not understanding and changing with it. But when I was going through a lot of my weight changes, other people mentioning it didn't make that a lot of fun because I was having a hard time recognizing it even as it was happening. And whenever other people are making comments about you that don't line up with how you see yourself yet, it is hard to take that in stride. However, denying it is never the answer. Like, if they're saying good things, accept it. Don't just blow it off or try not to believe it. I think the best thing for you to do is probably to try to believe it as best that you can until you actually do. Like, not necessarily the fake it till you make it thing, because that can just lead to you believing that change is happening when it's not. So there's like a little bit of balance that has to be had, right? Like, you have to see yourself as realistically as you can. And that's challenging whenever you like to divulge in fantasy as your own sense of escapism. So it's like trying to see outside yourself, but the best thing that you can do to ground yourself is to see yourself. It's a mental conundrum that I find myself in quite often, but it's worth it, because if you don't think complexly about your life, then your life isn't going to get as complex as you want it to be, I guess. As simple as you think is as simple as it is. And I think that could go for a lot of things. If you have a problem with the way other people are eating or not eating around you, then it's best to eat alone. And it's best to get comfortable eating alone. And nurturing yourself properly, both in view and out of view of others. I think what was difficult for me was to hold myself to the same standards that I was holding others to. I wanted other people to take care of themselves well, but I wasn't taking care of myself very well. And so it's hard for them to believe that you want that for them whenever they don't see that you want it for yourself, right? Same goes for any addiction, not just food, but like, you can't tell other people to not be alcoholics if you are also drinking your problems away. I won't say drinking yourself to death, that's a harsh statement, but you can't be a hypocrite. And I think that was probably what helped me like take care of myself better, was like, well, how would I want my sister to see herself? I want to see herself how I see her. She's beautiful. She doesn't need to do anything to prove her worth to anybody, all these other things. And so it's like, well, see that for yourself. You can see everyone else's worth, but you're not seeing your own. That's a hard pill to swallow. It's like, oh, I let everyone else not see my worth because I wasn't seeing it. Hate that. But it's the best realization about yourself to make, because then after that you're like, okay, well, I'm going to start taking care of myself the way that I see them taking care of themselves. And then it's like goes into the inner child thing, right? It's like, well, how would you take care of a child? How would you want that child to feel about themselves? How would you want them to be nurtured? If they were in a tough situation, how would you help them? What advice would you give them? What would you teach them is right? What would you try and correct that they've learned? It's correcting your own upbringing, the things that you taught yourself and the things that other people taught you. Forgiving yourself for teaching yourself incorrectly, because there's so much misinformation out there, and it's out there for a reason. It's out there because other people have been misled. Everyone has been misled in a lot of ways. It was easy for me to get angry about that, but after anger is reconciliation to some degree, because you have to reconcile with those around you, and you have to reconcile with yourself. You have to let go of the shame that you held and release those of the shame that they might be feeling about the situation. I know that nobody ever feels good about misleading somebody to the wrong path if they see how destructive it is for that person. Hopefully they wouldn't. I know I wouldn't. I would feel guilty, and then I would process that guilt, and then I would figure out what I could do to better them and better myself and better the relationship, the relationship with yourself, the relationship with your addictions, the relationship with your parents. Not everyone is as willing to make those changes whenever you are. But that is where you learn to hold space and hold patience for growth. And as a Mars-ruled person, not the easiest. Patience doesn't come easy, but that's a major lesson that I've had to learn, which is a blessing. Patience is a blessing. Nothing heals without time, and time loves to take its time. Being honest, that helps. You have to be honest with yourself. Be honest with the ways that you thought you were helping yourself that weren't helping. What is working and what's not. The relationships that help you and the ones that don't. And how to let go of those responsibly. You can keep people in your lives that you care about, even if they don't care for you correctly. They're at a distance, though, until they learn to care for you correctly. That's a boundary that I have to set. You could say the same for yourself. If you don't care for yourself, a lot of times you hold yourself at a distance to everything else, right? Like, other things are more important. Work is more important. Food is more important. Friends are more important. Material goods, whatever. You do all those things to distract you from what you can't accept within yourself. because there are things about those vices that you forgive them for, even when they don't deserve it. So you should be able to forgive yourself when you don't think you deserve it too. And then you will learn to deserve it. Because the things that you did wrong to yourself were only a result of what you thought you deserved at the time, right? What you were led to believe that you deserved. Like, ask yourself, what made me think that? The next time you think something bad about yourself, why did I say that to myself? Where did that come from? How did I learn that? And why have I hung on to that statement so long? Why does that keep repeating? And you break it down further. How do I let go of that? What can I say instead? How can I change this dynamic within myself? Whenever I look at that thing and I furrow my brow at it, how can I learn to smile instead? Pain is a precursor to change, and it does hurt to let go of things that you held on to for so long. But when you let go, you have more room to hold new things and learn new things. And then you let go of those, and then you see what comes up next. It's all about refreshing, rebirth, recycle, out with the old and with the new. Spring cleaning, living your life with the orbits of the planets helps. If you only let go of things during necessary times, then you kind of have like a little bit of a schedule to go on. It gives you a routine, right? If that's something that you believe in. If you want something that you've never had, then you have to do something you've never done. If you want a love that you've never experienced, then you have to love yourself that way. If you want a body that you haven't had, then you have to treat yourself like you have it. Like, act like it's already there. Act like the life that you want is already yours. And it will be. You can't just keep living in the routine of ridicule and expect you're gonna get praise from other people. Because your eyes say everything. There's always gonna be people that can see right through you. You can never hide. You can't even hide from yourself. That's why people distract themselves all the time. It's because they don't want to be alone with themselves, because then they will know. They'll have to face it. They'll have to face the man in the mirror. And if they're not ready to tell themselves any different, then they're not going to be ready to face themselves. I was ready to tell myself something different. I was ready to hear better things from other people. I didn't want to keep hearing the same things. So I started doing different. And I got different results. It's like a little experiment, right? You dress one way one day and people are like, oh, I've seen you wear those things before, but you haven't held yourself like that in a while. Or I've never seen you hold yourself like that. That's cool. I like that. You keep doing that. That's working for you. Even strangers will say something who don't know you. I even had regulars at the place that I work mentioning things, and I didn't think that they'd ever notice me. I notice all these people because I saw them habitually, but whenever they decide to connect with you in a different way because they see that you're transforming it literally in front of their eyes, only good things can come from it, right? And the bad that comes from it are the people that don't want you to change. And those are the people that you should know to hold at a distance. There will be people that come up and are like, I kind of miss the way that you were. You stuck around me more. I could use you easier because you didn't see yourself. You needed other people to see you. That's the problem for me, living through other people and living through my love for the people in my life, is that once they see that you hold yourself to the standard that you were holding them, they realize that you're not gonna do all that you did for them anymore, because you were feeding yourself through them. Now you're gonna start feeding yourself first, right? And maybe they wanted more. You always got a little bit less. It sucks to see who wants to keep you down. And not all of them will stay that way. Maybe it's only temporary because they're like, oh, this is different. And then there's maybe a readjustment and they're like, okay, well, maybe they're a good enough person to see what they were doing. And they can change. Once other people that want to stay around you see that you're changing, they will make changes to stay in your life. I promise you that. I've done it. And I've felt other people do it too. They don't want to stay in pain either. They want to help themselves. And if you have the tools to help them, then hell, why not? Don't be greedy. I think that's something that people might get stuck on, is they learn the key to helping themselves, and they have plenty of people in their lives that they see are in the same position, and then they hold themselves above them. You can't do that. Even if those people are the same people that might have hurt you in the past, you have to give them the tools to step up, right? Because then you actually are like suffocating yourself from breathing new air. It's really easy. It's really easy to distract yourself with other people's problems, especially whenever you know that you can help them in some way. There's always a limit to how much that you can do for someone else before they have to start doing it for themselves. You can't always be pushing them on a swing set. They gotta learn how to do it on their own. That's a good analogy, because as a kid, even like in elementary school, there was like the long thing of swing sets, and there would be teachers that are on the side pushing a few of the kids. And there was a point where I knew that I could push myself, but I still wanted someone else to help me get started, because I was, I don't know, afraid I wasn't going to do it right, or I just wanted the reassurance, or I just wanted someone else there to watch me. But it's not as satisfying. I mean, they always end up going on to help someone else, right? And you're not going to need that help forever. You can fool yourself into thinking that you do, but eventually you're going to have to start doing it on your own. And it's so much funner that way. more fun. Whatever. Learn to push yourself. And then other people will want to swing with you. Enjoy yourself. You're all you've got.